what is going on, guys? Luke here today, and we need to talk about the very controversial but very important topic of Bitcoin. There are some major positives and just as many huge negatives to Bitcoin. But more importantly, there is a lot of misinformation out there that we need to clear up. So I'll try my best to clear up all the confusion, tell you exactly what I think is the appropriate use of Bitcoin, and I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing personally, which may go against what most say to do with it. But hey, I was the same guy buying Apple instead of Pets.com back in the day, but it kind of worked out well, I think, at least in my opinion. So let's have some fun, and all I ask for in return is that you ever so gently tap that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, I will preface this up front, this investment is not for everyone. And that's quite honestly okay. I understand that, and I'm not going to say you're wrong for feeling that way if it's not for you. Risks are very personal in nature, and you should absolutely only take on the risk that you personally are comfortable with. Now, I will not go over the mechanics of Bitcoin, how blockchain works, and all that other stuff like that. There are tons of great videos out there that explain it far better than I ever could. But what I can explain very accurately and understand very deeply is how Bitcoin will work from an investment perspective. But in order to do that, we all must understand a few things, and I also want to clear up a few misconceptions about Bitcoin. You absolutely have to have this base knowledge before being able to accurately assess this as an investment. So the first thing you must understand is that Bitcoin will be regulated if it ever starts being placed on corporate balance sheets in place of cash. And I know it's already happening, but I'm talking about the big boys starting to do it and put it on their balance sheet. The idea that governments will allow corporations to retain Bitcoin as cash and then use it to conduct business is just ludicrous, guys. Now slow down before blasting me and hear me out on this. Do I think they will allow companies to own Bitcoin and keep it on the balance sheet? Absolutely they will, there's no question in my mind. But if large corporations, think like your Teslas or your Apples or someone like that, start putting Bitcoin in place of cash on the balance sheet, I think the government will quickly move to put in regulation to move Bitcoin from the cash side of the balance sheet into another asset category such as investments on the balance sheet. This distinction is huge and shows you exactly where I think Bitcoin will ultimately fall in the investment spectrum. And that would be that Bitcoin will be eventually categorized as a commodity type investment. I know a lot of people out there won't agree, but it fits the definition of a commodity to me. And here, I'll tell you exactly why I think it's going to be categorized that way. I see no scenario where any government is willing to give up control of the money supply, which, is their main way of controlling the economy. It is actually their biggest tool in maintaining power over the people in general. There's no chance in my mind that they give it up, and allowing Bitcoin to be used as cash will absolutely take that control away from them. Which leads me to my second point and the second misconception that is being floated as possible with Bitcoin. And that is that contrary to what Bitcoin bulls say, Bitcoin itself will not replace fiat currency. Now, I absolutely think the government sees how cryptocurrency in general solves a lot of problems, and it's probably the best way to secure the money supply and transact business in the future. That future is here now, guys. But they are not going to move the world's money supply over to Bitcoin. They will completely create their own, which they can completely control. And let's play worst case scenario here, guys. Even in the worst case scenario and fiat government money just completely implodes, which I don't think is likely, but let's say that it does, governments will just implement a new form of currency that will replace the old. But where Bitcoin bulls are absolutely right is that Bitcoin will play an important role if that happens. In that apocalyptic scenario, it will absolutely send Bitcoin to the moon. As you know, Bitcoin will act as a means of transacting business in the meantime until a new currency is stood up. And that right there is where its real value lies, as a hedge against the worst case scenario if everything just blows up. But what exactly am I doing personally? Well, first, I would get my 4 free stocks with Webull when I deposit $100. And you can actually buy crypto on there as well. Although I personally will be doing it a different way. I'm just being upfront here. Yes, I like Webull's platform and all, but I will be buying crypto a little bit of a different way based upon my situation. Now, at some point in time in your investing journey, you may find the need to hedge against anything and everything that could possibly happen. And although I think the chance is slim that fiat currency completely collapses or something like that, it doesn't mean that I cannot hedge against it in the meantime. Now, will I be buying other cryptos as well? No, not personally. I am not near sophisticated enough in crypto to make good decisions there. It's a vast world, guys. It's a rabbit hole you can run down if you want, but I'm just not going to run down it. I will stick with the big one because it has the best chance of not going to zero. So that's kind of a hedge against my hedge, I think. Yeah, sounds right. I have put off on Bitcoin for too long now, and with some larger investors looking for, or actually just adding it to their portfolios, it was time for me to do the same. And looking at the charts, this seems like this was another run up that Bitcoin always has. And now we're kind of on the pullback phase of that. Now I know I always tell you guys not to time the market. So even though I personally think we're gonna see another bust cycle again, where it just goes back down to more reasonable levels, I will still be dollar cost averaging into a small position. In the end, I would like about 2% of my portfolio to be in Bitcoin, and that is how I plan to get there over the next 5 years or so. I will not be trading it or going all in or anything else crazy like that. Just a small position gained over time by dollar cost averaging in. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.